We're going to start with the economy tonight, and our first question does go to both of you, and we're going to start with Mr. Schumer. The economy is one of New Yorkers' top concerns, according to multiple polls. Inflation has rapidly increased, reaching record highs not only in the U.S. but across the world. Would you share two ways in which you plan to provide relief to New York families should you win this race?
First, we've already provided some relief on the prescription drug costs, one of their greatest problems. We'll get down those electric bills and those heating costs with clean, good energy. But one of the problems that has been, one of the things that's created inflation is COVID and all the supply bottlenecks. So you couldn't get anything, and the price went way up because there were fewer goods. We are dealing with those supply bottlenecks very successfully. We just passed the CHIPS Act. Chips are needed for almost everything, and the lack of chips caused prices of cars, of appliances to go way up. Now they're going to start coming back down because of the CHIPS Act that was passed under my leadership. We also passed something, when there's no fight between Democrats and Republicans, it doesn't get reported. But our ships were backlogged at the ports. Cost of shipping goods in and out went up 1,000%. We passed a law, bipartisan, that allowed the FMA to say, ship 1, come in October 1st. Ship 2, come in October 2nd, and the price is going down. People are going to see those results.
Thank you. Same question to you, Mr. Pinion. Two ways that you would directly address inflation immediately if you were elected.
Well, let's be very clear. We should stop lying to people. The inflation did not happen overnight. It can't be fixed overnight. Just to correct a few misinformation facts over here, COVID did not cause the inflation. The response to COVID caused the inflation. The printing of money, $6 trillion of worth to deal with that virus of foreign origin, and we still have yet to hold them accountable. He talks about the CHIPS Act, and yet the CHIPS Act has very few provisions to make sure we actually have the raw minerals required to ensure that those chips can get made. That's like saying you're going to have the world's largest steakhouse and not having a reliable supply of beef. That's an expensive joke at the expense of the people in this state that are desperately in need of jobs and real opportunity. As far as what we can do, we can stop printing money recklessly. We can start building a middle-out economy that actually inspires the type of economic growth that is sustainable, not these one-shots and these Band-Aid solutions that are stale, they are tired, and the American people have seen the results.
Thank you, Mr. Pinion. Mr. Schumer, did you want to respond?
Well, the bottom line is we are finally reducing the deficit. Susan, under Donald Trump, the deficit went way up. Under the first 2 years of Joe Biden and Democratic control of the House and Senate, the deficit is going down over $300 billion this year. And in addition to getting the deficit down, we said in the very, very extensive IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, for every dollar we spend, a dollar goes to deficit reduction. Never done under the Republican administrations.
Well, look, just to be quickly here, if we can interject here.
Yes.
You can talk about the Inflation Reduction Act across the board. People have said it is going to explode the inflation. It's not going to reduce the inflation. Certainly, you can talk about the work that you have done with President Biden in a vacuum, but we all know that we quite literally sent people home. That did very little to actually make sure that we're going to start bringing the deficit down. The deficit is going down because we were forced to spend so much money in response to COVID. So context is everything. We have to be honest about why the jobs are going up. We have to be honest about why the deficit is going down. It's because we sent the people home, and it's also because of the fact that we had to print so much money.
We're going to continue on this topic. Mr. Schumer, according to most economists, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was passed in August, will do nothing in the short term to address inflation. Why didn't you pass a bill that would directly address inflation immediately, since you were in a position to do so?
Well, we have, and the Inflation Reduction Act does do that. Starting next year, this coming year, the most a person can pay for prescription drugs is $2,000. That's a real cap. That's going to reduce inflation. Here's something else we did immediately. We got the president, I had to push him very hard, to reduce the cost of student loans. So that $10,000 for every student, $20,000 for Pell Grant students, they won't have that burden. Very important. And to reduce the deficit, unlike Republicans, we've gone after the big corporations. For the first time, they can't pay no taxes. 15% is a minimum that they have to pay, and we even tax the evil stock buybacks that they do which will also help us reduce inflation.
Thank you. Mr. Pinion, Republicans are promising to cut taxes. Specifically, they want to extend the Trump tax cuts permanently, something that the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says is unlikely to bring down inflation and will increase the federal deficit by $1 billion. To pay for these cuts, Bloomberg is reporting that House Republicans are exploring changes to Social Security and Medicare and will use raising the debt limit or a government shutdown to leverage the issue. Do you support this proposal, and do you support this strategy? Why or why not?
Well, look, let's be very clear. I'm not here to be a rubber stamp for the Republican Party. I'm not here to be anyone's just token vote. The reality is that we have to talk about what is right and what is wrong, not what is left and what is right. Senator Schumer, he has been a rubber stamp for the Biden agenda, and the Biden agenda has failed us. If you're talking about what needs to be done, we need to protect Social Security. We need to honor the promises that were made. If we need to have tax cuts, that tax cuts needs to be more robust for the middle class. We need to have a middle-out economy. And again, if we're going to sit here and talk about the American Rescue Act, if we're going to talk about the CHIPS Act, we have to be honest about the fact that all of these actual outcomes are just theoretical. But in the actual immediate reality of what they are describing, the American people are hurting. The people have lost $30,000 on their savings. The people are down $6,000 as far as earning power. People are down $4,000 as far as actual annual earnings. So at the end of the day, people can believe their own eyes. They can believe their own bank accounts. They are not a mirage. These ideas have not been worked.
Mr. Pinion,
it's the same stale responses.
Would you support that strategy, and would you support those cuts?
I think that we have to have a wholesale departure from what came before. All of these ideas are broken. We need to completely redo the tax code. We need to completely re-examine why it is that the same politicians come to us with the same solutions that always leave us in further and further debt and deeper pain.
Thank you.